it's Mrs. Trombley. It is time for lesson 3-6. I actually broke 3-6 up into 2 parts. So today we're just going to focus on converting measures between systems of measurements. I know that you have done some conversions that were within the same system. For example, inches to feet or feet to yards or centimeters to meters. This time we're going to end up going from one system to another system. And basically there's 2 systems. There's the U.S. Customary system. That's a system that contains measurements like for length, capacity, and weight. And they use inches, feet, yards, miles, pounds. That's the U.S. Customary system. There's also the metric system. And the metric system is a decimal system based on powers of 10 that contain units for length, capacity, and mass. But they use millimeters, centimeters, meters, kilometers, grams, liters, etc. And those are the measurements. So we're going to learn how to go from one to the other because not everyone uses the same. If you went to Canada, they wouldn't be using the U.S. Customary system. So we need to be able to go from one to the other. All right. So I give you a few things to kind of help you along here and tell you almost an equivalence. See those little squiggly equal signs? That means it's not quite exactly, but almost. So 1 inch in length is about the same as 2 54/100ths of a centimeter, or 2.54. And 1 mile is about 1.6 kilometers. As far as capacity goes, volume, 1 quart is about the same as 95/100ths of a liter. And as far as weight and mass go, 1 pound is about the same as 45/100ths of a kilogram. So there are 2 different ways. I know we're learning this chapter that there are several ways to do all kinds of things. There are 2 different ways to complete these conversions. I'm going to show you both ways, and we're going to actually practice with both ways, and then you can decide which one you like better. All right. So method number 1 that we can use is we can use a proportion, and that's why this relates to what we've been covering currently. I'm just going to fold this so I have enough room here. And the other way is to use a ratio. Both things are things we've been dealing with this whole chapter. All right, so if we wanted to use a proportion to convert 5 liters into quarts, step 1, we would list the ratio for the units being compared and set it equal to another ratio. So do you see how we're comparing liters to quarts? Well, when you compare liters to quarts and you look up at your chart, it says that 1 quart equals 95/100ths of a liter. So in my proportion, I have the quart and I have liters, 1 per 0.95. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. So those conversion charts are right up top to help you. After you've done that, you're going to use a variable to represent the unknown and place it across from the matching unit. So if we're trying to convert 5 liters into quarts, that means that the 5 is going to go across from 0.95 because 0.95 represents the liters. And we don't know how many quarts, so we're going to place a variable across from the quarts. Now we have something that we've already learned how to solve, right? We have a little proportion. So we're going to go ahead and I would use a cross products property. When you do this, you would end up getting 0.95x equals 5. You would divide each side by 0.95. And when you take 5 and divide it by 95/100ths, you get a really long decimal. Yep. So what I'm going to have you do is just round to the nearest tens place. That's 1 place to the right of the decimal point. The number next to the place I want to round to is 5 or more, so I'm going to call this a 5.3, and I'll use some squiggly equal signs. X is about 5.3, and remember we are solving for quarts, so I'm going to list my unit after that. You should too. Okay, there's another way to solve this same exact thing, and this is using ratios instead of proportion. So ratio is just a comparison from one to the other. And to do this one, you write the given amount with the unit as a fraction. So it's 5 liters to quarts means 5 liters per quart. So I'm going to set this up as 5 liters is given over 1. So you write the given amount with the unit as a fraction. And to write 5 liters as a fraction, you just put a 1 under it. We multiply it by the ratio of the units being compared, and list the units. So here's what I mean. Here's my 5 liters over 1, and I'm supposed to multiply that by the ratio of the units being compared. The unit that we want to convert to needs to be in the numerator so that we can cancel out the other unit, meaning this. I'm trying to figure out how many quarts, right? I'm trying to go from liters to quarts. And you'd already seen in the first lesson in this chapter when we took like 6 hours times $5 per hour, we canceled out the hours. I want liters to go away, so that means that the unit liters needs to be in the bottom so that I can cross cancel that unit. So our conversion says that there's 0.95 liters in 1 quart. I need to put the quarts on the top. I need to put the liters on the bottom so those can cancel out. Now we'll multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and simplify it. So here, liters are gone, and I have 5 times 1 quart, which is 5 quarts. And I have 1 times 0.95, which is just 0.95. There's not a unit because it canceled out. And when you take 5 and you divide it by 0.95, you get the same exact decimal we got before. You get 5.2631, blah, blah, blah. So about 5.3. And quarts is the only measurement that's left. So either way, you get the same answer. It's just which one makes more sense to you. So we'll practice with both. Go ahead and turn the page. Do a great big sigh for, oh, we have to do all of these. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay. I have the conversion chart too on the other sheet, so you don't have to flip back and forth. I'll just help you out with what they are. Here your objective is to figure out how many kilometers 7 miles is equal to. And we'll start with the proportion method. I think we'll do the proportion method on all 4 of them, and then we'll do the ratio method after that. So in the proportion method, we're going to be setting up one fraction equal to another fraction, right? And as you can see here, we're comparing miles to kilometers. So that first fraction that I'm going to set up needs to be the miles to kilometers one. So on the front of your sheet here, it says 1 mile equals 1.6 kilometers. So these are the miles, these are the kilometers. All right, now I'm trying to figure out 7 miles is how many kilometers. So the 7 miles needs to go on top across from the other miles. The kilometers is unknown, so I'm going to put that across from the one that's unknown. From here, we're just going to solve it. So again, I looked at the units I was comparing. I'm comparing miles and kilometers. I set up a ratio for miles and kilometers using that table of values given to you. Then I'm going to fill in the information given. I'm given 7 miles. That needs to go across from miles. I don't know how many kilometers, so I put a variable across from kilometers. Now, crisscross applesauce. X times 1 is X. And when you take 1.6 and multiply it by 7, you get 11.2. So that means that 7 miles is about equal to, because we've rounded these, 11.2 kilometers. Alright, we're going to keep going with the proportion method and we'll come back to the other. Here I have 12 quarts and I want to know how many liters that is. So when I look at my chart on the front, it says that 1 quart is equal to 95 hundredths of a liter. So 1 quart, these are the quarts, and you're given 12 quarts. So 12 needs to go across from the 1. And we're trying to figure out how many liters. That's on the bottom. And again, where I got this 1 quart, 0.95, on the front sheet, it tells me here for capacity, 1 quart is about 95 hundredths of a liter. So when you're filling out this first fraction, that's where the information is coming from, quarts per liters. All right, crisscross it. X times 1 is X. And when you take 12 and multiply it by 95 hundredths, you get 11.4. That means that 12 quarts is about equal to 11.4 liters. All right, next we're going from kilograms to pounds. Okay, so I see the units, kilograms and pounds. When I look here, it says that 1 pound equals 45 hundredths of a kilogram. So 1 pound equals 45 hundredths of a kilogram. I can say 1 over 0.45. These are pounds, these are kilograms. So now in this one, I'm given the kilograms. This is pounds per kilogram. So 25 would need to go on the bottom. And this time I'm searching for pounds, which is on the top. So again, it's 1 pound per kilogram. So pounds per kilograms means that these are pounds. Pounds go across from pounds, kilograms go across from kilograms. Now when we cross multiply, we end up with 0.45x equals 25. You'll need to divide by the 45 hundredths. And for x, when you take 25 and you divide it by 0.45, you got 55.5 repeating. So I'm just going to round that to 55.6. And there's already my little squiggly equal sign. So 25 kilograms is about 55.6 pounds. All right, last one using this method. I want to go from centimeters to inches. So when I look at my chart on the front, I can see that 1 inch is about 2.54 centimeters. So I can say 1 over 2.54, but this is 1 inch per 2.5 centimeters. So the inches are what's unknown, so my variable is going to be on the top this time. I'm given the centimeters, so I'm going to put centimeters across from centimeters. All right, crisscross it. 2.54x equals 8. We're going to divide each side by 2 and 54 hundredths. And when you take 8 divided by 2.54, you get a really long decimal again. Looks kind of like pi. And it's 3.149. So I'm just going to say 3.1, round it to the nearest tenths place, and set that up. All right, so that's the proportion method. I also want you to be able to do this using the ratio method, and then in class we'll just decide. We'll decide which one you like best. All right, in the ratio method, your first step is to write the measurement that's given over 1. So we're given 7 miles. I'm going to write 7 miles over 1. I am supposed to multiply that by the conversion given in my chart. And I want the unit that I want to end up with to be in the numerator. So I'm trying to get from miles to kilometers. So I'm going to put kilometers up here. And I need to put miles down here because that's the unit that I want to cancel out. So when you look at your chart, kilometers and miles, it says here that 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. So I'm going to write 1 next to the miles and 1.6 next to the kilometers. Then we're just going to go ahead and cross multiply. So when you do this, the units cancel out because in multiplication you're allowed to cross cancel. And you're left with 7 times 1.6 kilometers, which 7 times 1.6 gives you 11.2, and we still have the kilometers. And on the bottom we have 1 times 1. So technically this would be written over 1, but when you divide a number by 1, you get that same exact number. So as you can see, we got the same exact answer as the other one. And we should for all of these, otherwise we've done something very wrong. Okay, next one using the ratio method. We're given 12 quarts, right? So that 12 quarts, we're going to write that with the unit over 1. I'm trying to convert that to liters. So the unit I want to convert to goes in the top. The one I want to cancel out goes in the bottom. And then we'll look at our chart. Liters to quarts. Here it is. 1 quart is 95 hundredths of a liter. So 1 quart, I'm going to put the 1 with the quart. 95 hundredths of a liter, I put that with the liters. Again, I'm going to cross multiply, but before I do, I can cross cancel out the units. I need to take 12 times 0.95 liters. When you take 12 times 95 hundredths, you get 11.4. We still have liters, those didn't cancel out, and it would end up being over top of 1 times 1, which is 1, which is the same exact answer we got for the other one. So we're done. All right, next, the unit I'm given is 25 kilograms. So I'm going to take the measurement given and put it over 1. I'm going to multiply that by a fraction where the unit I want to convert to is in the numerator and the one that I want to cancel out is in the denominator. Look at your chart. I'm trying to get from pounds to kilograms. So in your chart, we can see that 1 pound equals 45 hundredths of a kilogram. So I'm going to put the 1 with the pound and the 45 hundredths with the kilograms. Before we multiply, I'm going to cross cancel. I'm left with 25 times 1 pound, which is 25 pounds. And I have 1 times 0.45 without a unit because it canceled out. So now I need to take 25 divided by 45 hundredths. And when you do that, you get 55.5 repeating, which is the same as 55.6 if we're rounding, and I still have pounds, which again is the exact same answer we had for the other one. All right, last one. I know, this is a tough one, lots of information. All right, again, in the ratio method, step 1, take what's given, 8 centimeters, write it over 1. The unit that I want to convert to goes in the numerator spot. The unit I want to cancel out goes in the denominator. When you look at your chart, it says that 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. All right, so I put the 1 with the inch, 2.54 with the centimeters. Before I multiply across, I'm going to cross cancel that unit. 8 times 1 inch is 8 inches. 1 times 2.54, units gone, is 2.54. We need to take 8 divided by 2.54, and we get rounded 3.1, and we still have inches left. All right, so now your other part of the homework is to decide which method do you like better. See you tomorrow.